ever felt you've been heard but not listened to? Taught, but find yourself later on in a situation not actually remembering anything? Or even so, reading a page and not seeing the relevance of retaining each of its sentences? This is how I felt in the past educational years. So, what do we get to do in school? Seek answers? No, because they've already been given to us. Today's educational system is creating repeaters. Already from the first day I set foot inside a classroom until my graduation, all I would have to do is absorb information and repeat it. This information would get pre-selected for me by the government, put into textbook, so that later on a teacher could present it to me in a one-way dynamic. After a long day of school, I would find myself sitting at home, repeating the same information, so that later on I could write that down as my answer on a test, without even questioning the actual accuracy, relevance, or meaning of the subject material. Now, instead of presenting us with the answer, we should be given the opportunity to seek for the answers ourselves, to discover our academical strengths and weaknesses as individuals. We're all gifted with a beautiful brain that enables us to think and judge for itself. But since we rarely get the opportunity to let it function to the best of its ability, how will we ever know if we can achieve our personal goal? I asked myself this question, and ironically enough, I did not know the answer to it. My passion is to go and study abroad. More and more, I started dreaming about the day that I could finally pack up and leave to a city where no one would know my name and start an adventure of my own, where I was to meet loads of interesting people from all across the world. Having lived in Maastricht for around 10 years, I encountered the general purpose of education to be getting good grades in school. This will enable us to get to a decent university. And this university will be equipped with the skills needed later on to compete in the labor market. But since I do not only wish to just acquire a well-paid job, or maybe even get the occasion to travel sometimes, no. I wish to contribute later on something to improve global life. Idealistically, I would like to make our world a better place. But I knew this was not going to happen if I was to sit passively inside a classroom. At the age of 15, I lost my positive state of mind and enthusiasm towards learning. I attended 3 different high schools and encountered the same problems. Firstly, that subject packages are not personalized to meet this interest of the individual. They do not take into account their academical strengths or weaknesses, neither their vision for the future. My second problem, the second thing I thought was a problem, is the way classrooms are structured. In front of the classroom, you'll find a teacher standing next to the blackboard. This creates the hierarchy of teacher-student. The teacher who is above the student and the sender of information rather than a mentor or coach. His or her task is to pass on received information, and we are there to sit and take notes. If you do not understand what the teacher is teaching, you ought to raise your hand. Often, the question asked by students are not the question answered by teachers, as they do not analyze the question, but just answer it in the way a textbook expects them to. Because of the one-way power dynamic, there is little opportunity for students to reflect on the subject material they received by having discussions with fellow classmates and teacher. In turn, they do not get the chance to evolve social skills or work in groups. Secondly, examinations were a test of one's ability to retain information and answers needed to complete an exam. Ideally, it was functional. Quick to read, easy to mark, black and white, right or wrong. Instead, we should be challenged by writing essays to show our overall knowledge of the topics we've learned, and we should take a stand in writing that information so we get to think critically and individually. This did not happen, so I was in need of some challenging change. I decided to enroll at TEDxMaastricht, which was known for its international student body and personalized style of education. Here, I encountered students from all over the world and disadvantaged backgrounds who were just as passionate, idealistic, and eager to learn as myself, but who had to start with so much less and learned so much. We all share the same mindset of becoming well-rounded individuals to make our world a better place. I had the opportunity to personalizing my subject package by choosing 6 subjects from categories such as humanities, languages, sciences, or the arts, of which I'm interested in, and I was going to look more in depth. Understanding and action are seen as one of the main goals of education in my school, opposed to rote knowledge. This is shown inside and outside of the classroom. In class, there's a strong emphasis on critical thinking and development of problem-solving skills. To become optimistic goal achievers. Students are given the opportunity to do individual work on the topics studied in class, but then they can choose a part that interests them for further analysis by themselves. Outside of classroom, community service and service learning projects are integrated into the daily curriculum to develop social skills and become selfless leaders in group work. This makes us feel needed and connects inside learned classroom to real-life experiences. Now, why did I tell you all of this? School can be a place that teaches us not only lessons from books, but also lessons from life. I, as an example, never thought about my consumption pattern. We are trained by society to buy certain goods and consume them to fulfill our desires, which we do not actually need. We do not need to consume what's not in our basic needs, but we do. Being in an international environment, such as UWC, I start thinking about things I never thought about before. Furthermore, questioning my way of life. In my school, people from all across the world come together and try to create a new way of living based on intercultural understanding that still enables them to keep their traditional way of life they had before, but then turn it around and make it something better together. I study and pass time with students that come from a less developed country than myself. So I wondered, do I actually need all the things I buy? Change starts within the individual. If we can educate our students with a sense of idealism to become responsible individuals in the future who strive for a more sustainable and peaceful world, we can decrease the need of consumption, and hence live a more sustainable life with respect for the future. Thank you.
Rebecca Vos, ladies and gentlemen.